Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. I am Chris Chinnock, President of Insight Media, and I'm very happy to present this third webinar in our series with our speaker, Dr. John Fan, who is the CEO of Kopin Corporation. If you missed the first and second webinars, not to fear, John will give you a quick update on those. The first one discussed kind of the AR and VR history and some of the lessons learned. The second talked about the state of AR and VR today. Today's talk will talk about the future of AR and VR. I'm also going to share a poll right now there you go, that you should be able to see on your screen now. So what content application is most important for your VR smart glasses use? And I'll let you respond to that poll while I continue my introduction here. So Dr. John Fan is the founder and the CEO of Kopin Corporation. He's been working in this area actually for 30 years now. And before Kopin, Dr. Fan received his EE degree from Berkeley and then went on to get a PhD in applied sciences from Harvard. He spent 12 years at MIT before founding Kopin in 1984. He was also recently honored by being inducted into the National Academy of Engineering in 2020. This is actually quite a big honor for engineers. There is no Hall of Fame. Well, it is actually kind of like the Hall of Fame for engineers. So of the millions of engineers out there, only about 2,300 engineers have been selected to be part of this National Academy in the US and another 300 international members. So it's a pretty prestigious award. So I think his credentials and his 30 years of background makes him a pretty good speaker to talk about what's happening in the AR and VR market. So as far as logistics go, after this presentation, we will have a Q&A session. I'll start off with a few questions, but you are welcome to post your questions in the question box. If you look at your dashboard, there's a question box, not the chat box, the question box. Put them in there and I'll try and get to as many of those as we can. There'll also be some poll questions at the end of the presentation as well. So I think we can all plan on being attentive at that point. Okay, I am going to close this poll. And I will tell you what the results are. So according to the results, 12% of you like to have VR glasses for movies, 14% for sporting events, 33% for gaming, and 40% for monitor replacement. So that's kind of interesting. I'm now going to hand it over to John, and while John is doing some his introductory comments, I'm going to post the second poll. So John, please take it away.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for your kind introduction and for organizing this three-part series on the paradigm shift to smart glasses. This category, smart glasses, is going to be like smartphones, will impact all of us. As you mentioned, our journey actually started 30 years ago. And boy, do we have so many twists and turns. It took me 3 sessions to fully develop the whole story. In this last section, I will outline my views on how to succeed. We are actually very close. The next few years will be very exciting indeed. Smart glass will actually make us enjoy our life much better. Let me actually start up with all these Hollywood dream glasses.
John, let me pause right here and give some of the results of that second poll, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So that question asked, did the question ask, what's the most important to you in the VR smart glasses? And the answers were 16% said style, 28% resolution / pixels per degree, 28% also said weight, and 28% field of view. So I guess everything's important at this stage.
Yeah. Well, we can start again. You saw this Google Glass. Obviously, Google Glass has these videos in 2013. Many of you people know that we actually are the display provider to Google Glass for both version 1 and version 2. And this is another dream glass. This is a movie come from Secret Service. It's actually give you the virtual audience avatar. This is a room that I guess you can recognize Michael Caine is sharing this room. And then put on the glasses, voila, you actually see all these virtual attendees. And everybody will be wearing that smart glass. Okay. So actually, of course, many of the people in the room toasting virtually. So it again is one of these Hollywood dream glasses. And how about this 360 degrees? On the left-hand side, you actually can see this 360 degree camera. So everybody would like to be in the stadium. So in a street with a 360 degrees one, you can see the whole stadium, and you actually pretend you are actually at the quarterback or any of that stuff. So this is actually a sporting event which people are talking about. How about IMAX theater? See, people say watching a movie. So with that eyeglasses, this is actually done by IMAX. If you wear this smart glass, you have a personal IMAX theater with a virtual audience. The audience in the theater is people that you can pick from all over the world that's sitting next to you and talk to you. This is again a wonderful smart glasses people wish that they have. So that because of that, I'm going to talk about the agenda. Actually, many of the smart glasses or dream glasses they talk about, show to you people, are actually possible in the next 10 years. We do have our favorites, especially in the next 3 and 5 years. Which one will come first? Before I go into that, I'll go over some of the takeaway from the first Series A and Series B. What are the important things that will be coming around? Actually, as I said before, the future is actually very bright. After 30 years, we're very close. Well, I want you to remember, human senses are two very important human senses, sound and sight. So when we talk about augmentation, we're just not talking about sight alone. Sound is very important. In fact, you really can't augment sight without sound. Sound comes first. And let's talk about this. How do you try to combine the physical world, which is our world, which is all in analog, and then there's a digital world, which is all in virtual. So the key whole thing about these smart glasses, how do you mix these three things together? Mix the sound and mix the vision together. If you mix a lot of physical world, then of course you have we call it AR. If you only mix the mostly or digital world, then we call it VR. And if we mix it kind of 50-50, we call it MR. Okay, so basically, it's depending on how much you mix the digital world, it is where you go. It's because, as I mentioned in the last few sessions, sound has been around for a long time. The sound augmentation sounds easier. The brain will accept that much easier. It's also invisible. It all comes around 360 degrees automatically. So the first thing to augment is sound. So we're talking about the sound glass. As I mentioned, the first session, second session, now the third session, I always wear the sunglasses. And some of you people now also have sunglasses. As I mentioned last time, quite a few of you people order, and I hope that you're wearing this right now. The sunglasses is very interesting. It actually address over 200 billion dollar market right now. The optical market, is really the sunglass can do all this prescription sunglass reading, anti-blue. A lot of people use them in your office, and safety glasses. This whole category right now at current market is over $100 billion annually. The other side is sound, headphone, earphone. I could talk about earphone. Very soon, gaming headsets, and also hearing aids or hearing aids. This whole market is also over 100 billion today. So together, a sunglass augmentation glass is addressing over $200 billion annually today. Now let's talk about that. If you don't, if it, this is a new graph that we just obtained. Last year, 2020, let's look at the AirPod. Just this little AirPod Apple put out. Last year, their revenue is $23 billion. Let's compare with this top 10 technology company, all the way from Tesla all the way to Snapchat. This is their revenue. Just the Apple AirPod alone, just sound augmentation will give you already over 23 billion. Now if you combine the other people who make similar product, that's already $40 billion. So actually $40 billion revenue just give you, just on sound augmentation, just for AirPod, earphone, is already about $40 billion last year. So this is how big it is. Okay. Now let's take a look at it. This is why people wear eyeglasses. 40% of the world wear eyeglasses. Okay, and that's over, as I say, over $100 billion annual market. Then you have earphone, which is AirPod-like, sunglasses, Logitech type earphone, or you wearing safety muffler and all safety glasses. What we talk about is the sunglasses will combine all of them together in one, and that's why they're addressing over $200 billion annual revenue. We're very excited about sunglasses. In any other glasses, whether it's vision, you got to have sound anyway. So sunglasses is the basic platform to start. And the basic platform now is already accomplished. Okay. In the last 30 years, we accomplished that. There are further advances to do. I think there will be more fashionable design coming out. The glasses, the temples certainly can get smaller and lighter. I'm very excited about this too. You got to have better audio. Why do we call whisper? I think for sound, for sunglasses, it's nice to have audio that you can whisper to it, or people whisper to you, you hear and nobody else can hear. If you use the solo sunglasses, you notice it has that. It has the whisper in there. You don't have to yell. It can slowly. I'm actually giving this talk kind of whisper to you. You don't have to yell to it. Okay. Another thing to do is I think the whisper can give you the hearing assistance. So this is another thing that people are working on. How do you give the sunglass to actually help your hearing? Which of course everybody would like. It's invisible. We call it invisible hearing aid. People do not know that you're actually wearing it. You probably will notice that the sound now that with sunglasses, you can get 360-degree spatial sound. So sunglasses, we believe, will become very huge category. How about the next step? Everybody say, okay, let's augment the vision to it in addition to the sound. Okay, what are the challenges? In fact, this is our 30 years. The 30 years journey is not only finish the sound, it's how to put vision into the smart glass. But there are some fundamental issues there. Unlike sound, seeing actually our eyes has variable focal distances. And that actually creates a lot of eye strain if we don't take care of that. Another thing about eye sound, seeing is it's directional. It's not like a invisible 360 degrees. It's very directional. So how do you take care of that? That's another one of these things we have to take care of. The worst part of all is that our brain has much higher resistance towards accept mixed signals. You try to put digital signals to physical signals, the brain does not take it easily, especially on vision. These are the big challenges. Technically, actually, on the vision augmentation, the hardware and software are really here. Not a big deal. Not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is really display and optics. I will talk about it. In fact, this is our journey. The last 30 years, we've been fighting, struggling with display and optics. How to give you the best display and the optics, give you the best experience at a price they can afford. The whole idea is this. We try to give you a small display with special optics, magnify a big virtual image. So in other words, you get a very large picture from a small display. There's a lot of problems there because this one, the display is very, very dense. So when you expand it to a huge image, it's still very, very sharp. The optics had to be special because when you're expanding and magnifying it, you should not lose any resolution. These pictures should be very sharp. These two technically are huge challenges, and it takes us 30 years. Let me give you the idea again. Oh, you missed that. The basic idea was, let me see if I can give you back to the old one. So it doesn't work. So I guess so we have to miss the other one now. So what happens on the microdisplay systems, you really have special requirements. The first requirement people don't quite understand is you have the human acceptance. There's some of the systems are developed, but we do not believe human, especially consumer, will not accept. And I will show you why. So the technology had to be really in line with what human will accept, the consumers will accept. So also the ecosystem is very important because you are talking about consumer especially. So you have to have a whole systems developed already, the whole supply chain developed, the whole manufacturing developed. It can be very scalable so that the price point be very attractive. So human acceptance and price to me are very coupled. Human had to accept it, and also the price point is right, and all this technology had to follow these two. So we definitely have a leading candidate. Our leading candidate in the next 3 to 5 years is OLED or microdisplays. And I will explain to you why this is so. Just look at the evolution of displays. This is a display you know. Direct view display. You started with CRT, then you go to LCD. Now, of course, in the last few years, everybody's looking at OLED on glass. In the future, you may go to LED on glass. This path is going through already, and the consumers accept that. Or ecosystem already built, manufacturing systems already built. The whole thing, and we all know that the price point is consumer. So how about microdisplay? I think we should follow the same path. First of all, CRT turned into micro CRT, and it has been around. Micro CRT was around, and then we developed. Remember, DARPA gave us the $50 million to develop. We have micro LCD on silicon. We are the first one develop this system and replace the CRTs. Okay, so micro LCD requires the LCD there, phones, backlight, and driver chip. Three things to provide you the display. And LCD on glass is the same way. They also have a backlight and they also have a driver chip. This has been around and you're still using it. Now, why are people so excited about OLED on glass? One of the major things The only on glass, on silicon, or on glass, they actually combine all these things into one, all in one. It's very integrated. So only on glass or only on silicon really eliminate the backlight and the driver chips. So in the future, they say people are talking about LED. The reason is it can even give you brighter still. So give you the idea. The past is all CRT. Nobody's talking about tube. This is actually analog tube. Present right now, LCD give you solid state screen. That's what we're used to it. And micro display actually follow that. In 3 or 5 years, I think it's all going to be all on glass on the big panel. Is one that you use for your monitors, use for TVs, use for cell phones. Everything is all on glass. It's direct view. On micro displays, it's going to be all on silicon. Use all the infrastructure, all the materials of all that, and the price point will also fit. In the future, maybe go into this what we call LED on silicon. Why do we develop this silicon or OLED systems? Now let me give you the reasons. Once you go to micro display on silicon, of course you can integrate all in one now. There are some characteristic difference between all three systems. We are Kopin actually make all three now. LCD on silicon, OLED on silicon, and LED on silicon. Therefore, we're the right guy to give you this comparison chart. For the LCD silicon, LCD is very bright. It's very bright, and people all use it for the military for the brightness. OLED has suffered the fact that the brightness was not very good. It's called poor. As you well know, the last few years, we announced a whole bunch of technology we developed that moved that from poor to good. So we are now in this paragraph, just in the transition from poor to good. LED, we're working on it because it can be very bright, very good indeed of brightness, especially useful for avionics, military, and we're also working on that. The color is no question about it. That's why people want this TV OLED, because the color is better, contrast better, speed is good. This is why people are moving from LCD TV to OLED TV. Integration, I already told you, this is all in one. This is 3 pieces in all in one, and LED on silicon will be the same. How about technology maturity? It's very important for next 3-5 years. Which one will be ready? Well, LCD, of course, we want to have higher performance from LCD to OLED on silicon. So the technology maturity is here. OLED silicon micro displays technology is quite mature now. The LED is very poor right now. We're still working on it. It may be 5 years away. Production maturity before OLED on silicon was poor, but now it's moving to good. Quite a few big factories are being built to do this. So OLED silicon in the next 3 to 5 years, to us, is very clear. This is the display, and it's good for all the applications: AR, VR, MR. And of course, infrastructure is already here. It satisfies all the characteristics. So this is our favorite. OLED on silicon next 3 to 5 years for AR, VR, and MR. The one major thing, as you will know, we take a very big display, shrink it down, okay? So the biggest challenge, also one of the biggest challenge, is the pixel density. And as the poll already say, people would like to have more pixel density per inch. So basically, the goal is to get to about 5,000 pixels per inch or dots per inch. If you achieve this goal, 5,000, what happens? Your 100-inch screen, 4K TV, can be shrunk down to a postage stamp per inch. Or your 50-inch HD TV can shrink it down to a nickel. That is what, and then of course, if you have a magnifying lens that can do it, you can magnify it back. So you're going to come back from a 1-inch postage stamp back to a 100-inch screen, the image again. So this 5,000 PPI is sort of kind of the dream or the goal that we have been doing for the last few years. Well, just announced about 2 months ago, Korean government announced their research is objective for the country. It's by 3 years later, 2024, to reach about 4,000 PPI. Give you some example. For your 4K TV today, it's about 50 PPI, 550 instead of 5,000. Okay, so it's about 100 times smaller. And then when you magnify it, you actually get 10. So you get it back with the lens. So what happens? You need to go to about 5,000 PPI is our goal. Kopin right now is around 300 PPI. We have the densest pixel density in the world right now, 3,000. Now, actually, the 5,000 PPI is quite achievable in the next 3 to 5 years. So the goal is to train your 100-inch TV, 4K TV down to a postage stamp. We're quite far along now. Now, how do you do that? If you get the display, now how do you get the optics to magnify it back? So your 100-inch screen, you get it back from your 1-inch postage stamp. You need very good optics to match it. Okay? So what I really want to say is there are different optics needed for different applications. It's different from a micro display. Our OLED display within different sizes, different density can access by all the AR, VR, MR. But optics is quite different, and I will go through this very carefully because in the last 30 years we developed a whole bunch of different optics for different applications. For VR, we do have a favorite, the Pancake optics, and I would describe why the Pancake optics is the ideal optics we do not view for the VR applications. Now, why do you want VR? Well, it's very clear. Everybody would like to go into a metaverse product. We want to go to a digital world, going to a fantasy world. It's great for games. People want games. Great for sports, entertainments. IMAX theater, shrink it down to this to a small thing. You also health and fitness. You can use for health and fitness application. Soon you can have a big portable TV. Consumer actually love to go to another world. I think this is a market where it says over $100 billion market today. Okay. The question is, how do you provide the experiences they would like to have? Let's examine what is already out there, has been out there for the consumer VR-like assets. It's all started very early. The iTrade video, actually 1998, is Olympus come out with that. And we love it. Actually, the founder of that product, the developer of the product, actually now is in our company right now. He's also big advocate for that. This Olympus iTrack, after he retired from Olympus, the founder joined us. He actually sold over 100,000 units. Okay, it's a personal TV at the time. The resolution was not good enough. The lens was not good enough. So it's certainly, but at that time, it was the most popular thing. And then, of course, the current ones, Sony one, come out with a VR headset, and then they use they actually sold over 5 million headsets. Okay, and usually used for game monitor and TV, just like the poll say, TV, game monitor, maybe also for sports. They use OLED. Sony always used OLED, and Olympus at the time, so earlier there was no OLED anyway, so it was LCD. How about Facebook? I mean, we all heard about Oculus, Facebook, right? Rift, Quest 1 and 2 for 2016. The last 5 years, they actually sold over 5 million units. Again, used for games and TV. The technology is LCD OLED. So it's very clear. The sets people are using similar to TV now, or the direct view display, that use technology side everywhere because they can be making large quality at a price point the consumers can afford. And they accept that because we are very used to it. So what happens is over 10 million units have been sold already on VR Okay, it can go much bigger because the overall market is over 10 billion a year. So how do you make that business grow even further? Well, to make it into great business, I think the headset had to be better. Okay? Definitely had to be higher resolution. But use the higher resolution. It got to be thinner and lighter. It's too big right now. So what optics will you pick then for VR? Since VR could be very big business, already a good business now, you got to be able to, we already know our display can go down from 100-inch to 1-inch and give you the same 4K, right? But how do you magnify it? You have to magnify from 1-inch back to 100-inch, or you actually magnify over 10,000 times in the area. That is a very big, difficult job. And then you have to retain the sharp image. But right now you can do that, and the sharp image is still not too good because the current optics, and it's also too big. So how do you solve the problem? How do you make it thin and light, sharp image, and yet still cause no eye strain in manufacturing? If you look at all these considerations, we pick our favorite, Pancake optics. Why? How you do it, and what happened there? That's how the Pancake optics do work. Pancake optics basically, this is the one you probably can recognize. This is the Facebook Oculus. Okay, you can magnify it, but the thing is that it is very, 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 very deep and heavy. The idea is because in order to magnify an image, you need a very long optical path. So therefore, you have the long optical path. What we want to do, Pancake, is we actually folded the whole situation in like an accordion into Pancake. You basically make the optical path just bounce inside. Just keep on bouncing it and make it collapse the accordion. So that's why I call it Pancake. You make it very thin, yet it can retain all the characteristic of magnifying it. So you can actually do this with Pancake optics. You can have this like a regular glass in 3 to 5 years. Is this a dream? No, it's not a dream. Let me show you. It's already almost done. Last year, announced this year, this CES half a year ago, Panasonic announced their VR glass. It's not in production yet. It's prototype. That is their glass using our Pancake optics and also use Kopin's OLED, our Kopin 2.6 OLED. So this is the glass they have now. They should actually show this at the CES half a year ago. We think this thing obviously can go smaller and lighter. Another thing that is very interesting to us is this conceptual model. It's actually not a conceptual model. We actually built this 5 years ago, okay? But we stopped. And I tell you why. But the whole thing is that the conceptual model is allow you to have a personal mobile IMAX theater. I showed you before, shrink it down. You saw what the IMAX Stream was, and also give you a 360-degree experience because you have a head tracker in there, and you move around, you get a 360-degree. Still get a wonderful sound, and also have the screen. When we built it 5 years ago, we also allowed this, we call display attachment, to be flipped out of the way, so you can be like your headset. And then if we want to watch the TV or watch the IMAX, you just lower it down. Okay. 5 years ago, we do not have OLED and we do not have Pancake. So when we built this, it was not like this at all. It was not high resolution enough, and the sound wasn't good enough. So we stopped it 5 years ago. Actually, we did a lot of focus group. We work with quite a few big companies in US and in Japan. Test it, and they'll figure out it was not ready. Okay, but now we do have OLED. Now we do have Pancake. We do have good sound. So I think together, these things coming in the next 3 years. We are almost there. We tried it 5 years ago, built it, and we stopped. So let's put this way, summarize on the VR glass. We have good OLED micro displays, and you will continue to get better. In the next 3-5 years, you will get to 5,000 PPI. The Pancake optics are there. The Pancake optics right now, unfortunately, with the one with 3M, half of them still done by glass, so it's too heavy. So our goal is trying to make it into all plastic. Then it be very lightweight. But they're almost there. All the technology is basic here. We get to improve. It will be improved in the next year or two. The VR-like applications we already saw the poll. Everybody wants it. It's another world. It's a meta universe. People want it, and it's accepted by the consumer. The technology are accepted. All that is accepted. And Pancake optics is regular plastic optics. We can get it all plastic. And now, how about the optics for VR, AR? Remember, for MR and AR, where you put in some digital data, but not a lot. Like the Mission Impossible Dream Glass I showed you before. You put on the glass, you already have sound, but you also see a little information snacking. Okay, give you a little more information. Is it possible to do? When is it possible? Well, it may be possible. In fact, I will show you one. This one, actually, we developed a pupil optics, which is over here. You actually display here, our optics is very small. It's like a pinhole optics. And go to your eyes. And then you put the whole the little pupil optics and put it inside the frame. And this lady was wearing it. It actually worked 5 years ago. It's just like our VR glass. It worked 5 years ago. It's embedded into the frame. But we stopped also. We decided this is actually much easier and much better. We have to get the sound first. It's just like the VR glass. We got to solve the sound, get the sound into the right way. And I say, the solos that people have now, I think we satisfy the platform now. So these pupil optics we develop, the inventor of the pupil optics actually our company too. It was actually invented by Olympus. And the inventor, after he retired, joined us. So we have pupil optics in the company right now. So how about the other see-through? Remember that previous one is also see-through. It's just kind of projected into your eyeballs. So there are other optics for AR. Okay, the optical they are see-through for optic. They're called optical see-through and video see-through. Let's go. This is very important. There's a lot of discussion in the field today. A lot of noise. The optical see-through now. There are many different technologies. Okay, waveguides is very popular right now. Bird bath is actually is a way, but Google Glass 1 and 2, they all use bird bath optics. Remember, we are in the Google Glass 1 and 2. Projection visor, our F-35 helmet is using F-35 helmets using this technology. Google Glass using that technology. Micro mirror, there are quite a lot of micro mirror there. The Lumos optical see-through. Free shade mostly used in China, in Japan, and we're also in this. So we're in this, and this, and also pupil optics. The video see-through, of course, using camera sensors, the optics are much simpler. And Kopin, we're going to discuss the next slide about all these optics for this. We really believe the video see-through has a lot of potentials. But optical see-through, remember, F-35, Google Glass, we're all involved there. The verdict is still out. The verdict is still out. Okay. So it is mentioned for the video see-through on the second screen, Kopin actually provide a whole bunch of optical module for all the applications. Starting from pupil, which of course will show you embedded in the glass, in the eyeglass frame. That is small, very tiny. This is the pupil optics. Pearl is the one that real wear and those our customers in enterprise are using. Prism is the same way. The Pancake is this. This is the one for the VR. We really, because Pancake can give you much bigger FOV, like IMAX theater. Okay, so these are all different way of magnifications. We provide all those modules now, and also we provide all these. Also, we believe all these optics modules will eventually all going to be useful for digital eye. So we are very excited about the Pancake. Remember, Pupil, Pearl, Prism, and Pancake. These are our product, and we actually call it the 4P series. It's all P started. Okay, so we are providing all those modules. Now let's go through this a little bit. There's still a lot of discussions about between optical see-through and video see-through. And remember, we provide optics for both, and we have customers for both. So therefore, we again, just like display, which we provide LCDs, OLED, and LED later on, the same thing. We're probably the most neutral party to talk about it. The optical see-through has a lot of advantage, has some advantage, especially in the avionics when you're flying a jet coming down a aircraft carrier like an F-35 or gun sights. Okay, when you shoot and aim, so your optical view path is very important. The current applications are very good. You only use it when you want it to, because once you finish the mission, you take it off. It's not all day. Okay, the reason is it has a mix. It causes eye strain. You have different focal plane. Your eyes see very, very different planes, but your digital plane is one plane alone. So your eyes now have to adjust to see far or see different locations, and why digital is only one plane. In a video see-through, you don't have the problem. It's only one plane. So your eye strain situation is a lot less. So let's go back to current application again. In the video see-through is all, as I mentioned in section 2, there are a lot of applications now. In in optical see-through, our customers usually almost all use it for defense. So far, the consumers hasn't seemed to be able to accept that, and the reason is your brain cognitive load is very high. Not only the fact your eyes cannot focus very well, sometimes it causes eye strain. Your brain cannot accept that. So in the video, it's much easier to accept. Technology also is very high to do the optical see-through, because the display brightness has to be very high indeed. If we do that, then our optical micro OLED display had to get very high. And that's why for military applications, they actually want LEDs, micro LEDs. That's why a lot of activities now to make it very high for the defense. But the technology is very high indeed. Meanwhile, video see-through is much easier, and optics are all available right now, and human acceptance is easier. So optical see-through becomes very important, interesting. It's like climbing the Mount Everest. Okay, you climb all the way. Technology is very high. Okay, human challenge is very high, and when you get there, is it really worth it? Because what is it for, right? How big it is. My own feeling is doesn't matter, because there may be some unintended advantage when you develop the technology for it. But meanwhile, we have not seen anybody in the consumer world that using the optical see-through and accept. So this is what I want to give you the takeaway now. I think the most important for the trilogy is human has to come first. Technology is second. The human acceptance is very critical. So wherever technology is developed, you want to find out where the consumer really accept the similar things they accept. Otherwise, they won't use it. So the key technology we develop is audio, which we already have, and it got to be improved some more. But audio technology is there. That's done. Microdisplay and optics, we got to make it shrink it further, and we have the optics that make it lighter and thinner. But we are quite far along this. Okay. So I think all these things, once developed, it will eventually lead us to digital eyes and digital ears. And this is incredible. It's a new thing. The AR VR is just on the way. Once you get that, you go there this way. You will. So this is very important because the digital eye, digital ears will actually change our life. Let's go back to this reflections, what happened. I mean, we obviously finished our trilogy. We talked mostly a lot about what happened in Kopin for the last 30 years, but it also taught us some of the stuff done by a lot of very brave companies, because many of them, of course, like us, have seen a lot of twists and turns. It has been a very interesting journey. I really thanks Chris, who urged me when we talked about we have a 30-year anniversary of DARPA giving us that, funding us to $50 million 30 years ago. The anniversary is exactly 30 years. So Chris say, hey, why don't you give us what you have, how happened during the 30 years? So we're still working on it. We're very close. It's worth all the sweat and tears. And it's really very important. AR, VR really enhance our lifestyle. It will make us enjoy life better. But I'm very excited about what happened after AR, VR. I think AR, VR, you will get it in 3 to 5 years. What after that is digital ears and digital eyes. It will actually improve our lives. It will make us live better, and make us age better. Okay, so because we can fix our eyes, fix our ears. And that's why I say the superhumans are coming. You can see in the dark, you can hear much better. So with that, I would say, yeah, with 3 years later, I would like you to join my webinar, which is 3 years from now, on superhumans. How do we get the superhumans? With that, I would say thank you very much. And thank you guys for joining us the 3 webinar, and bear with me for 3 times now. Thank you.
Thank you, John. That was great. So we do have a bunch of questions in the question box here. I'm going to actually start with another poll here, which I'll put up on the screen now. So you talked a lot about optical see-through and video see-through. So the question is, which AR architecture will dominate in 5 years? So what does the audience think of your message? So while that's up there, let me ask, or actually there's a comment here. In the first poll, Leslie says that her number one use, I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman, I'm sorry. Their number one use is VR headset for fitness. Lost about 20 pounds during the lockdown, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I do agree. The VR headset or VR-like headset. I remember I still always believe they got to have some physical awareness around you, ambient awareness. So it doesn't have to be totally enclosed, immersive, but the VR-like headset would be very useful for health and fitness. I totally agree. I also believe that it should be higher resolution and also light and thinner. And I think that those VR headset will come very thin, very high resolutions.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to close the poll in just like 5 seconds here. So let's do that. We got a lot of votes coming in already. Let's see what we have here. I can actually share this poll now. So there's the results, John. 70% still think optical see-through is going to be dominant in 5 years. What do you think about that?
Yeah, of course, we never say never. I in technology, I never say it will not happen. But let's see what we have today. I think, remember, consumer acceptance is different from Hollywood dreams, right? So look at the see-through, maybe not see-through, but look at your cell phone. Yeah, we have Pokemon. Pokemon is actually a video see-through. Its camera takes all these pictures. Look at the camera, all the eyepieces you have. I call it digital eye. They're all video see-through, because humans can focus on the one plane. Now, when you try to superimpose everything, one side, the eyeballs, try to focus on different plane, the other side on a fixed digital plane, you have a big eye strain. So the problem is solved. The Magic Leap, I guess everybody heard about Magic Leap, is to try to give you the digital image in different focal plane. So therefore, to simulate your convergence of your eyeball, and as they well know, they spent $2 billion, have not gone there yet. Eventually, you might get there, right? We actually have LCD display, which is ferroelectric LCD display, give you a light field display. The light field display image is in fact give you different focal points. Okay, military try to use it to allow the soldiers on a mission. So yeah, optical see-through, if you can solve all these problems, it may be very useful, but you have to wait for quite a while. It's not going to be 3 to 5 years. It'll be longer than that. And then how about this? For consumer, you have to get the right price. The right computer system, because you need a lot of computer systems to solve the problem. So yeah, I think you can do that. I'm just really focused on the next 3 to 5 years. How do you do it? And human acceptance is very important. The focal point is very important. Human brain had to be able to accept that. So yes, I think optical see-through only some missions. As I say, we are in military everywhere. We're in avionics. We're in gun sights. We sell a lot of them optical see-through. So I think we probably sell more optical see-through to the user than anybody in the world right now. So yeah, I have to be fair. In consumer world, it's going to take some time.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, Steve asks, do you see direct patterning of OLED on silicon without the need of color filters to be a threat to OLEDs using traditional color filters?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. I mean, we started working on OLED about 5 years ago. We again go back to our chart. Okay, what is available technology? What is scalable technology? What is scalable, especially for price? And what are the system that's requirements? Okay, for VR system, you don't need direct patterning. Okay, VR systems, the optics are not that inefficient. So you need brightness, but you don't need super high brightness. Okay, so it's adequate now. So you do not need direct patterning. So therefore, all the production, they go back to what is easy to produce, what has been being produced. So the current one with a color filter is what is being used right now. So we believe for VR is not. For AR, especially for optical see-through, you're right. Optical see-through, the optics are so inefficient. So you have to get very high brightness display. The high brightness display a lot of problems. Not only is very hard to do, reliability is lower, you use a lot of power consumption, and then you want to wear on your head. The thermal management is so hard. So the only way in that case, yeah, you're thinking about, yeah, maybe I should direct patterning. But in this case, we actually lean towards LED. The LED on silicon are developing very rapidly right now. In 3 years from now, 5 years from now, certainly 5 years from now, you may see LED on silicon with super high brightness, higher than anything you can imagine. Now, why are we working on it? Again, go back to we're an optical see-through, so we are into avionics. So avionics company who are working on the military application want super high brightness and using optical see-through. So we're working on LED on silicon for super high brightness. We think that it's going to be micro OLED and jump right to LEDs. So direct patterning is nothing, this cannot be manufactured right now. It can be done in the laboratory. I think with LED coming, I think direct patterning is no longer that useful now.
Okay, thank you. And I guess that kind of also relates to your stated goal earlier of 5,000 PPI, which Wally asks is, do you think that's actually necessary as a target? And maybe direct patterning has an issue with 5,000 PPI as well.
Well, first of all, 5,000 PPI is really nothing to do with direct pattern or not. I think that we are around 3,000 now. I think 5,000, 4,000 is what Korea government would like to achieve in Korea anyway in 2024, and I think Kopin is going to reach that before that.
Okay. Wally also asks about the ability to achieve natural depth perception in AR/VR within the next 5 years, and I think you partly answered that talking about your LCOS for spatial light modulators.
Yeah, we're working with several companies. We have what they call LCD, called LCOS with ferroelectric. Now, why we develop the ferroelectric? Ferroelectric can switch very, very fast. As you know, LCD, because the liquid is not solid state, it doesn't move so fast. But ferroelectric is special material we developed that can very, very fast. And actually, you can use for light field. Once you do light field, yeah, you can have different focal planes. But remember, the different focal plane has a tremendous burden on the computing power. Well, of course, IC is getting more and more powerful, processors get more and more powerful. And I think in a few years, maybe 5 years, 6 years from now, you can do that. Okay. So that's the thing. But remember, I like, believe me, I like AR optical see-through. That's why we developed that eyeglass 5 years ago. It's for information snacking. So you say, okay, I walk around, I get information flash to you. But now we found out that sound can give you about 80–90% what you need. So it's not entirely clear the climbing Mount Everest is necessary or not.
Which brings me to a good point to launch the next survey here, poll, which is what kind of penetration do you see Sunglasses making in wearables market in 3 years? The options are little, moderate, or significant.
Well, I mean, obviously, we're obviously very involved with solar glass. I think it's coming to the United States next month. But look at what happened, okay? The sunglasses is not new. Over 5 years ago, Intel and Ray-Ban came out with it. Right now in the market, just sunglass. You have Huawei, okay, with Korean company called Gentle Monster. It's a sunglass, okay. You definitely have both sunglasses here. Amazon, Alexa sunglass just coming out. Facebook is coming out with Lucetica. I think it's going to be sunglass. So yeah, sunglasses are here. And it's not like 3 years. It's going to be over in the next 2 years. And it will be wonderful because you can fix your hearing. You can give you beautiful music, and you can make phone calls. It's all hands-free, And because of the AI or the artificial intelligence in the cloud, they can recognize the voice recognition, voice search, everything, and text to voice, voice to text. All these things are coming. So once you can get regular glass like sunglass, and the price point is also very good. I mean, you order the sunglass since last sessions, they're all around $200–300. So it's consumer price now. And if it looks like, I mean, I'm wearing it. I wore it for 3 sessions now. And if I don't tell you, you don't even notice that I'm wearing a sunglass. So sunglass augmentation is here now. Even the price point, everything fits now.
Okay, and if you probably can't see the screen, John, but I've placed up the response to the survey now, and 30% say little penetration, 46% say moderate penetration, and 24% say significant penetration. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see, let me hide that poll again. Okay, not sure why that poll is still up there, but okay. Let's see. I'm looking through the questions here. Bear with me a second here. When will a 100-gram smart glasses solution come to market, and how will we get there?
It's a very good question. Smart sunglass, the sunglass right now, the one that you're buying or you're purchasing in the last week is 35 grams. 35 grams is the weight of your sunglass. Okay, so that part is already very acceptable now. Smart sunglass is right now, solos anyway, is 35 grams. Now, go to the smart glass with sound and vision for VR, now. How heavy it is. The Oculus one is around 400 grams. Around 400 grams. Now, people still wear it. You have to have a headband and everything. Our goal, I think, for this type headset should be below 200 grams. Now, can it go to 100 grams? Yes. I think that you will get to about 100 grams in about 3 years. So next year you will get around maybe 200 grams. The Olympus one, the Panasonic one, I think is around 200 grams, maybe a little bit less now. So yeah, 200 grams is really viable. And I think with the Pancake optics, if you can get it all to plastic, you will get below 200 grams, maybe close to 100 grams. Yes. So 3 to 5 years, you'll get it.
Okay. Another question is, how can you replace a $50 low resolution AMS LCD used by Oculus with 2 high resolution micro displays and keep the total price point around $400?
It is definitely is a question that we would be struggling ourselves with it. So how do you actually penetrate it? If you have the same performance, so in other words, if the headset is also very thick and heavy, like 400 grams, and the resolution is still so poor, like it's poor like they have, and it's still then you say I go charge more. It's difficult, but I do believe, and that's my belief, especially for sports 360-degree kind of experience. The experience is very different, right? Once you get into a truly fantasy virtual world that you believe that is real. Okay, you actually get into an advertising, you actually get to a real world. Will you still want $400, or will some people say $1,000 is fine, or maybe a subscription model you can be fine? So the question is really $400, but the question is more than that. Can LCD display compete with micro OLED in price? The answer is yes. If you look at the camera, okay, if you look at the camera, Sony camera, and it's not just Sony, all the mirrorless camera right now, and they all use micro OLED. It's a digital eyeball, really. It's a video see-through. And the display is about ½ inch. Okay, and I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but their selling price is less than $50. Micro OLED. And they have one production line, and their production line is only one in the world right now. But there are 3 production lines being built in China. Okay, and some of them, as you well know, I really announced a couple of times now. So those lines are equal and bigger than about the same size as the Sony production line. Okay, so remember, the price of micro OLED is now comparable to LCD, and they're replacing all the LCD and put micro OLED in their camera, $50 or less. One production line by Sony and 3 other lines coming from China right now, and they're all brand new lines. So you will see shocking price point drop.
Wow, that's good news. Well, good news for the users, maybe not for the suppliers.
Well, every China will make it happen because their lines are very efficient, new powerful, robotic. Sony has done a good job. They replace all the LCDs in the cameras,
Yeah, indeed.
and there are millions of them, right? Millions of them sold a year. One line, micro OLED on silicon. So very important. And my prediction is new guys coming in, especially the guys who want to get large quantity, they're all going to use micro OLED because price point will drop. Just think about it. Just like your solar cells or just like your LED light bulbs, you will never believe those things will come in competitive to conventional power or conventional light bulbs. No, right now you go outside, the LED light bulbs cheaper and better. And solar cells actually the power creation is cheaper than your coal power plant. So yeah, once this is going to production, all, everything is gone. So the micro OLED is based on two very mature business, very large business. OLED, your OLED TV, you go outside, which is maybe 80-inch TV, or maybe 75-inch TV, OLED is $2,000. And there's a $10,000, 10,000 times higher area in our micro display, 10,000 times bigger area is OLED. You know, the material cost is immense. And the silicon, as we well know, silicon is well everywhere using silicon ICs. It's very mature business, and people know how to handle it. So therefore, you don't need to build an entire new business. No, they're all there. They're all there, and and Sony already proved it. It's already in all the cameras, so no big deal.
Okay. Let's see. James says he didn't see a power comparison for some of the microdisplay options. Is that a key factor?
Yes, that's a very good question. Remember, we provide microdisplay. We provide LCD on silicon. We definitely provide now OLED on silicon, and eventually we'll provide LED on silicon. So I think the comparison wise, I think micro OLED will be the lowest power consumption. Why? Well, because we're combining, integrating the backlight, the IC all into one thing. It's all integrated. As you know, when you integrate everything, the power consumption goes down because there's no loss in combining all these components together. Okay, so OLED also can be more efficient because remember, we develop a double stack OLED instead of one stack. You have to actually provide two micro OLED on top of each other. Okay, so you actually provide much more efficient light now. So you can actually make it very efficient. So my own feeling is micro OLED, because all in one and because of the multiple stack that we use, will be the lowest power consumption of all right now. Now, will LED later on have lower power consumption? We don't know. The technology is still immature right
now. Okay. Earlier in your talk, you mentioned how the Sunglasses and the Whisper technology can help with hearing. Tell us more about that, specifically how it can aid hearing.
Yeah, that's very interesting about Whisper. The Whisper technology is something we developed. The last really took about 8 years to develop it. One of the things that we want to do is to be able to whisper. So you can whisper to it, and then you can hear. And when you hear, nobody knows that you are hearing music or listening to phone calls. And when you're making phone calls, you can whisper to it, nobody knows that you're talking. Another thing that is, the whisper allows you to adjust the frequency what you hear. It's like an equalizer. So when your hearing is failing, so you obviously, most people when you age, you cannot hear the high frequency voice. Every conversation is no longer that sharp. So you can actually equalize the high frequency, make it flat, so you can recover all your hearing, just exactly like hearing aid works. So yeah, Whisper allow you to do that. So you have wear a glass, you can do all those things. Interestingly, also because we're military, something that I don't want to talk too much about. Eventually, you can also hear things that people talking about the next door, the next table. So something that we probably will not enable you to do that.
Okay. So if you see sunglasses as the next step in this evolution here, where do you and all the challenges with optical see-through and video see-through, what do you see as the next stage, the next step in development for adding the visual part to the sunglasses?
Yeah, I think again, it's my personal view. The sunglasses are here, and you're going to see a lot of people going to try to jump in there. So you already know all the big boys are in there now. Next thing you do, I actually think is a VR light glass. The VR light glass, the market, the addressable market is so big. So you can use for your sports, you can use for watching movies, IMAX theater. You put yourself in a different fantasy world. The reason we watch a movie, reading books is because we want to put in another fantasy world. Consumers accept that. Consumers want it. So the next thing is to get the VR glass out. That's why we're working so hard with Panasonic, and that's why Panasonic working so hard to get it out. So I think that's the next one. Then after that, the question is, what would be the next one after that? I actually think that, the mixed reality will be the next one. The mixed reality of which you will use video see-through. Okay, a lot of them for consumer anyway will use video see-through because it's already there. The camera sensors are so cheap, so small. And you look at your cell phone right now. You have 4 cameras in there. Okay, that give you a huge view, and also give you a very good stereo view. So and they're very cheap because they are in the cell phone. So you put these cameras onto your eyeglasses, you just like you have your cell phone hands-free camera, and this all going to be video see-through. It give you enough FOV, the field of view, maybe 40 inches, and which is now equivalent to a 60-inch screen. That's all you need in front of you. I don't know how much you want it. You want to mix them now. It's a mixed reality now. So I think the next round, and I think our customers will prove it, that the next round is going to be more like an MR, and you'll be a mixed reality, and you'll be video see-through. And the optical see-through is further. You have different optical plane, focal plane to worry about, and you have tremendous cognitive brain merger, technical problem displays, technical problems on the optics, and the benefits is give you information snacking, which I think sunglasses will give you 80% of it. So I think that will come later.
So is it too early to pick a winner in the optical see-through architecture race, if you will?
You mean the optics wise?
Yes.
Yeah, we are in quite a lot of optics. We're not in waveguides. We're not in waveguides. We certainly look at the Google technique. I think that's a pretty simple technique. And we like pupil technique. Pupil is a pinhole optics. For information snacking, it's very good. It can be embedded into eyeglass very easily. Not easily, but much easier. And we certainly developed that. I mean, obviously, I want to make it very clear. We are the inventor of pupil optics, so therefore we're kind of biased towards it. We're also the inventor of Pancake optics, so we're also biased towards it. But they all have reasons why we invent them. So because we do believe they are the one that for VR and also maybe even for optical see-through using pupil optics.
Okay. Eric asks, what do you see in the advancement of AR in the area of architecture and construction? Does Kopin have a product for this already?
As you well know, the Wall Street, especially a lot of research reports coming out, and the AR is used very broadly. Like anything that augmented reality is AR. And in fact, it's true. If you a broader sense, our reality, as I said, our five senses, our physical senses, are all analog. The minute you mix digital data into it, you are augmenting it. So in that case, it's true. So if you talk about AR that way, then of course AR sunglasses here, AR VR glasses, VR glasses with sound will be there. So if you talk about AR in a very narrow sense, that is, take the physical world and mix a little bit data, digital data into it, that AR glass is, oh, sure, we do that already in pilots, helmets, F-35. We do that with all the gun sights, night vision viewers, so we do that. That one's actually video see-through. So yeah, there are configurations that use. We ship gun sight wise, we ship a few 100,000 units already to the military. F-35, everybody use our display for the helmet. For the F-35, it was so sourced to them. So I think, yeah, I think they are there. Will you see the pupil optics glass that we built 5 years ago? If there's a design for it, we can build it again. With our sunglass. So we have a sunglass solos. We can embed it in there. I think technology's part is only a year away. We want to get production with it. But why? Will you buy it?
Okay. Let's see. Dirk says, do you agree that AR will become as a much bigger market than VR? And I guess if so, what time frame?
So if you consider the sunglass, which is AR, because it's augmented physical world, then I think, yeah, the sunglass could be bigger than the VR glass. As I say, the addressable market on the sound and optical glass is over 200 billion today. That is addressable market. Consumers are doing it. They're buying the optical glass, buying the sunglasses. They're buying the AirPod. Remember, the AirPod just came out 3 years ago. It went to over $25 billion for Apple alone. Overall in the world, AirPod-like product is 400 billion a year. Okay. Overall, on the eyeglasses, is over 100 billion a year. So now you combine these things together, you have over 200 billion. If it's comfortable, it's just like a regular glass. Why wouldn't you have the AirPod inside your glass so you don't have to carry it or wear this into your ear? Why would not you want the hearing aid put it inside the glass so you have one device? Why wouldn't you want the phones inside the glass so you don't have to carry your phone? So right. That's where the sunglass is so obvious. The VR glass is a fantasy world. The market is over 100 billion a year. I really think that will be a big market. But all in all, I think the augmented reality glass, sound comes first. It will be a very big business. And the VR comes second, and the MR. The AR one is information snacking. We really say it's important for certainly military, where you want the information get flashed to you, and you want to be able to land it on some aircraft carriers or land it on some airfield. Honestly, I'm not too excited about the broad applications yet.
Okay. Let's see. Dieter says, I think you've probably answered most of this already. What about combining optical see-through with light field display technology in order to enable different focal planes for virtual objects, or is that technically too difficult?
Well, that's the ultimate, okay, and that's certainly something that we all should dream about. I think eventually we'll get there. It needs much higher power processor, lower power consumptions. It needs a special display. Hopefully, our ferroelectric LCD LCOS will satisfy that. Uh, uh, and I think, as I say, there's many brave companies, Magic Leap included. A few years ago, started to do that. But yeah, but it's very difficult. A lot of money has gone in. I would think, yeah, wait for 5 years or so. But if you want something, enjoy something now in 3 to 5 years, what I'm talking about, I think is something that's manufacturable, is scalable, price point, and experiences that you can live with, and your brain can accept. So I think that at least is my personal view after 30 years of journey. I think Dapper was right. Still, you want that. You still want AR, VR. You want to be augmenting your physical senses. Uh, I think finally is coming out. Sunglass is the first one to come in, and then it's be a very big business.
Here's a very practical question from Christopher. He says, the science is one thing. How is Kopin going to make money? Will it have multiple,
Well, it is true.
manufacturing partners who will want to work with Kopin only?
Well, I think it's a very fair question. As you well know, unfortunately, it's in our Kopin DNA. We try to disrupt. So you will certainly disrupt in the HBT world. Which will create a transistor that nobody else has ever thought about it can be built and manufactured. And then because of there is a power transistor, a pilot at that time was Qualcomm and Skywork. We're sole source to all of them. And right now, today, everybody use cell phones, all use the transistor we built. Okay, but it took us a long time. Yeah, one time our Wall Street was killing us because we only spend money we never harvest. But once we harvest the HBT, we said, no, we become very profitable then. Now we have this mission of trying to go into wearable, go into eyeglasses. It took a much longer time, more money, and I already told people that we are now moving from investment mode into harvesting mode. So yeah, we are now into it's the second wave now, moving from investment mode to harvesting mode. The technology after all these years, thank God to DARPA that put in $50 million 30 years ago to us. We finally got it ready in both in display, in voice, and in optics.
Okay. A question about the F-35. Do you think it would be practical to make that a video see-through display?
It is already both optical and video see-through, both of them. Because remember, the F-35, you can see in the dark using video see-through, using night vision video camera sensors, 360 degrees. The F-35 can see in the dark using video see-through 360 degrees. The helmet is about $400,000. Okay, so it has optical see-through. In daytime, you can see optical see-through because when you're landing on a airfield, it's nice to have optical see-through because multiple focal planes there, superimposed with some digital data. Remember, those pilots will wear them, but they will take it off immediately after they land. Okay, you have to be specially trained. Your eyeballs have to understand what is optical and what is digital data, because digital data is only one focal plane.
Right.
So for human beings to wear around all day, at this point is unimaginable.
So kind of related to that, there was a question from Phil about frame rate that you think is needed for pilots in the F-35 or gamers, and how that relates to what the human brain needs.
Yeah, I think for gamers, your poll shows that gaming is very important. For VR-like headset, I really do believe speed is very important. You don't want to have latency because you're moving your head, you have a head tracker in there. So latency has become very important. That's why we don't believe LCD is a good candidate. The micro OLED, okay, OLED is very fast. So you have to get the IC to run very fast. It's the integrated circuit. So our display, the 2.6K display, is designed especially for 120 hertz, and with special we call shutter, so allow you reduce or eliminate latency. So when you do gaming, you don't see any latency anymore. So that display alone, not only just on OLED, but on the IC in the integrated circuit in the silicon wafer, is especially designed. So yes, for gaming, speed is all important and is here. We can do it now. Okay, the next generation, which probably is very soon, you will see display go so fast, move so fast that you don't see any latency, you don't get any signal. Sure, we're aiming that for gaming. I think gaming is going to be hard.
Let's see, Leslie asks, are you looking at using a 5G link to more powerful processing off the head-mounted device?
That's right. The Panasonic one is tailor-made for 5G. Their target is 5G. Also kind of focus on sports, because with that you can have a 360-degree view. Because a head tracker, you can actually simulate the fact that you are Tom Brady in the midst of a stadium, Gillette Stadium or Tampa Bay Stadium, and so you have experience that you cannot get it just watching even IMAX theater.
Yeah.
So that's why I say this is headset. With this type of headset, at the beginning you don't have to sell it $400. Eventually you will be, of course. But so you can be a few $1,000s, and the micro OLED is fine. They did their calculations. Micro OLED is fine. The price point will be fine.
And plus the low latency of 5G for live events if you're doing that as well.
Yeah, yeah, because of 5G, they actually tailor-made for that. And I think 5G is not going to stop there. 5, 6, 7G will come out. So my own feeling is we're entering a new era. The technology, the bandwidth, the IC speed, the cost, the optics. The optics actually, people don't even know how difficult optics is. Remember, we have this 4P series, pupil all the way to Pancake. That alone costs millions of dollars to develop and patent it. We cover many patents covering this. And so, yeah, 5G, 6G will be perfect for it. Yeah.
So a couple of related questions here. How does Kopin benefit from the rollout of sound glasses, and are they capable of head tracking or head tracking?
Good question. Kopin spin out because we decided we're not going to be responsible or really market any devices. That's why we spun out our headset to RealWear. We license our headset technology to RealWear. We provide them the optical modules. Those are modules display the LCD we use. And we spun our Sunglass to Solos. And yet Kopin also owns a very significant equity in there. I really think that we'll get equities and everything else from that. So the next thing, of course, we're now trying to squeeze, put in the visions into the Sunglass. Yeah. Did I miss some point on that? Chris? Did I
I'm sorry?
answer the question totally? Huh?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. How many years will it take for inorganic RGB LEDs to be integrated in silicon backplanes, which is basically the micro LED path
Yeah,
here?
yeah. I would say we divide these two parts. On technology, I think we already announced that we are working with a company uh, uh, in China, I think called Jaybird, to do monochrome LED on silicon, and hopefully we'll demonstrate it soon. And of course, the next step is how to do color on silicon. I think the technology in the laboratory will be shown in the 3 years time frame. In production, I think you as it goes to the normal path, you produce first for military applications, for avionics, military, or maybe special avionic applications. Then you begin to filter down into consumer. So you're talking about 5 years away. Also, it depends how micro OLED works. If the micro OLED, remember, our micro OLED, we're still trying to make it brighter. We already have a double stack, and we're trying to get into a lower cost, more integration, make it go faster so they can go for gaming. I think this all come out in the next few years. And if that's successful, I think micro OLED, micro LED will be later, because if micro OLED becomes very successful, then micro LED may not be that urgently needed for consumer. But you will come. I think demonstrations in the next 3 years, micro LEDs on silicon.
Great. Darwin asks, how do you compare a meta surface lens with the Pancake optics?
Meta service lens, I don't quite understand there. I don't know. I first of all, I confess, I don't know what meta service lens. Maybe it's a different trademark, so I don't know exactly how it works.
No, I think they're like nanostructured.
Or nanostructure lens, I see.
Yeah.
Well, my own feeling is Pancake optics is here. We can make it at very reasonable cost, and it will be in consumer. And it's using technology. All the elements of it are mass producible, okay, and are already available. So therefore, it can scale up. Remember the criteria for, especially for consumer application, whether it's display or whether it's optics, it had to be scalable. The ecosystems are there, and actually a price point and performance point that people could accept for consumer. So some of the new technology, even the micro LED, is not ready for consumer. So we fully admitted that, even though we're working on it. I think that right now, the next 3 to 5 years for it, VR like, it has to be more like like a pancake. If you want it thin and light, okay. If you don't mind to have the one that Oculus using, which is a Fresnel lens, I think that's also good, because it's definitely consumer pricing point. Uh, the image is not as high quality as a Pancake, and definitely not as thin and light as a Pancake. But it is so yeah. I think there's really between these two now for the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay. Another investment related question here. How do you think about, how do we think about the revenue opportunity to Kopin in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, I had to be very careful. So to say that our first goal, of course, remember, most of our revenue right now comes from defense, and they use it for gun sights, for avionics, and also revenues to people like RealWear to go for second screen for the enterprise applications. And I think those will grow. In fact, I think military especially will grow very fast, because they finally they got what their dream was 30 years ago. DARPA wants AR/VR for soldiers and pilots. So we're almost sole source to more than 10 programs, production programs coming up. Already 2 of them in mass production now. So I think this revenue will continue to grow. Enterprise like RealWear and similar companies like RealWear will grow because I think it does provide services to people. The revenue for Sunglass will grow. I think will be quite explosive even because everybody now understood it now. We already accepted airport. The airport grew from 0 to 25 billion basically in 3 years. 0 to 25 billion in 3 years. So it's a vertical. That's only for Apple. For the rest of the world, it's 0 to 40 billion in 3 years. So we don't know. On the VR like Panasonic, they have a high goal. They saw a market of over $100 billion, maybe more, because this is give it very different experiences. So if it comes out the right spot, the price point, the experience, the size, the weight, and the resolution, would it be just like airport goes on 0 to 40 billion in 3 years?
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing statistic. Sanjith asks, in the micro OLED displays, do you plan to integrate the display driver IC circuitry in the backplane, or will that be a discrete chip bonded to the display?
Wow, that was, I couldn't believe this, how detailed it is. The answer is yes. In fact, our newest version of 2.6 display will have the DDIC integrated in there. It's not just a driver IC anymore. We'll put a DDIC inside. It's very aggressive, but we think it's needed. Yeah, the answer is yes, and it's coming soon.
Awesome. And the last question
actually, we actually call it DOC now because of that, called display on chip. It's no longer just display on chip with the DDICs integrated inside. Yeah.
And the last question I have in the list here, I thank you for all those folks on the webinar who have stayed this long. We've wanted to answer all your questions. So the last one, also another technical question from Sanjith. What size of micro OLED display is required for VR applications? Can you reduce it to less than an inch?
Yes, the answer is something that we obviously struggle all the time. You're facing 2 problems. Okay, one is how many pixels per inch. So the goal was to go to 5,000 pixels per inch. Remember, the regular TV, the 4K TV buy in the Costco is about 50 ppi. So we'll try to go to 5,000 ppi. The answer is yes. Once you do that, then your 100-inch screen becomes about 1 inch. The question, can you go smaller? I don't know. I think we have to reach the 5,000 ppi first. I think once we reach there, we don't know how to get there yet. Beyond 5,000, I think we pretty much know how to get to 5,000. Then we'll figure out how to do it. But the problem is not just that. The problem is the optics. How do you magnify more? So instead of 10,000 times, can you go 50,000 times? But you can get there and keep the quality of the image the same. Then yeah, I think the next step is how to shrink it down and then how to get the magnification go larger. Right now, I would say we know roughly where to go to 5,000 ppi. We know roughly how to get to 10,000 magnification with very good quality. We do not know how to get there beyond that. So, but like our technology, once we get there, we'll find out how to get the next step. So yeah, stay tuned. I think it will be just like IC, keep on going. I don't have a Moore's law. I'm trying to figure out a Fan's law to show how many PPI per year we can shrink. Yeah, we can improve. Maybe we should start a Fan's law. Yeah.
Let's work on that. That's a great way to close this out. John, you've been provided a great deal of information on these 3 webinars. I hope our attendees have benefited as well. We've tried to answer as many questions as possible. So with that, I will close the webinar and thank you again, John, and all the attendees.
Thank you very much. I'll see you in 2024 on Superhumans.
Very good.
Thank you.